Welcome to the Dingus Den.
Welcome to the Dingus Den for a new episode of the Comic Club, where we're here for a start of a little new mini-series here. Where I'm joined by Chris here, no fellow Redshirt over from Redshirts Remastered. And so,
check us out.
Yeah, been doing lots of cool stuff over here. But now you're finally back here on the Comic Club.
I am.
And to do this fun little series idea that we had, right?
Yeah.
Talking about Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night. The ultimate team-up story, right?
Yes. But it's really funny that it's Batman, Santa Claus, Silent Night, yet on the cover it's Superman front and center.
You know what? We'll get to that later.
I know.
A bit later, but
a bit later, yes.
A bit later.
Maybe
but
not even this episode.
Perhaps not. And so but yeah, so for this one we're just gonna be talking about the first issue here. And yeah, I don't. Do you have any thoughts on it before we get into it?
This was fun. This was like, yeah, it was not what I expected.
I will say the same,
which is good. It was a good thing. Not like they're actually, usually something Christmassy you're gonna think is a little lighter, but then that 13 plus teen rating actually fits.
That's true.
That's true. It really does. I thought maybe it would be a little cornier, but no. It
it's a neat threat. It's a neat threat. So we'll just get right into it here. But before we get into it, let's give a shout out here to all the talent that has worked on all these issues here. Including Jeff Parker, who wrote this, art done by Michelle Bandini, and then all the coloring done by Alex Sinclair. But let's just go ahead and get right into it here with issue 1, where it begins in the heart of Gotham City. We have Christmas carolers there. They're singing.
The tidings we bring to you and your king. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year. All right, that's all you're singing you're getting from me.
Yes, that was enough. That was enough.
So anyway, people are singing there. You see the shadows of like these bat-like figures coming in towards them. The people are just still singing there. And then all of a sudden, like, tragedy strikes where they're just all of a sudden attacked by these bat-like creatures. We're going to cut to Batman and Damian Wayne, where they come to the scene here to investigate this massacre. They see that each victim only has a single puncture wound on their neck, interesting enough. Batman says he then calls an expert, where we then see the snowman starts to glow, and then out comes Frosty. Ah, darn it. It's not Frosty, but it's Zatanna. So Zatanna, she comes out, she casts a spell, reveals that there's this picture of what killed them, revealing this, like I said, bat-like creature. We see it in a little better way now. And it's also revealed that it's known as the Draug, is what it's called. And so anyway, and that's also like this vampiric strain of a Norse undead. So interesting about that. But anyway, we didn't see that this Draug then comes out. One of them comes out and attacks them. Tries to grab Damien, however it fails, flies off. Then all of a sudden, this wooden stake just goes right through its heart. And it's then revealed that it was from Santa Claus riding Prancer. Right? Not only just Santa Claus, but riding Prancer here. So anyway, Santa then comes down, joins everybody else, but is quickly interrupted by a call saying that there's another sighting of Draug, and that Nightwing and Batgirl are already there. So we're going to cut to see Nightwing and Batgirl fighting them, protecting the police, just trying to fend them off as the best they can. But Santa then comes in, riding Prancer, just completely penetrating its chest with Prancer's antler there. Badass. Anyway, Zatanna then just scares them off with all this light from a portal. Literally casting a portal from the other side of the world, and just scares them off. They then all fly off. Batman did make sure to put a tracker on one of them though, and so we then get this bit of a backstory talking about ancient Norse myths. Every year there's something called the Wild Hunt, where all these hunters would gather up, capture or slay as many deadly ones on sort of like the Midgard realm, I think. And so anyway, the hunters then split up, and that's where we then see Santa tracking Krampus, who then finds him, but decides to not just slay him due to wanting a way to find to find a way to I can never say this realm. Svartalheim.
Svartalheim.
It's I played God of War and they said that name so many times that I could not get into this. I can't say that name.
Svartalheim.
But anyway, when going back, Santa finds that like this rainbow bridge was destroyed. Mentions that's possibly from an event called Ragnarok. You know, little event maybe all would have heard of. But anyway, so now they're stuck here on this sort of like Earth realm. Krampus is just here scaring the children, and Santa would make toys for him as a token of apology. The story tries to continue, but Santa then just cuts it off, calling it a silly tale, and then gives some of the story back, saying though that like the Draug has all been set loose again, and from this catacomb, and that's why he's here, is to try to figure out what's behind why this threat is all of a sudden laid just upon the world now. And so Damien just speaks up, saying, "Oh, look, it's Krampus," showing a picture of like this weird, footprint in the snow. And then that's when we see one of the Draug starts glowing weirdly, and all of a sudden this plant bursts from it, and it just says, "A gift for one of ye, 'tis the season," and then just sprays Zatanna with like this weird green goo. Anyway, the voice then taunts Santa, just saying stuff like, "I remember the traditions," or replying with, "You know who, old friend," when Santa asks who speaks through this vessel. But anyway, the voice then reveals that, well, he doesn't need this magician hunting him, and reveals himself as Krampus. Out comes, like, we see him fully here, right, from the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, continues to just taunt Santa here at the end, as it literally ends by saying, "You should have killed me. I will free them all, and Christmas will become the day of misery. Ho, ho, ho."
I love the ho, ho, ho at the end.
I know, right? And that's where it ends there, with just Krampus there. So,
man, so much to unpack.
So much to unpack. Let's just go ahead and go back to the beginning here.
That's what I'm trying.
I think what an awesome way is, I like the way of where we didn't immediately see the threat. One of the things I really liked here is the lead up to the threat, up to the like midway point, because you didn't quite fully see the Draug. It was just a shadow. First you see shadows, and then we get to actually kind of see one when they attack it. It's drawn in a really shadowy way, and I really like how that was shown. And I gotta say, I really thought the art in this was really great. I really like the art style across all these issues.
It fits both Christmas and Batman.
It's a weird mixture that really works.
It is, like, the colors and that he used and everything really, really fit both. And it reminds me, though, because where we know the story is kind of going, it does have that Victorian Christmas story, Tiny Tim, Ebenezer Scrooge whole vibe to it with the colors that were chosen. So I definitely get that feeling, for sure. But then you also, with the Draug, have that like Jack the Ripper kind of feel a little bit, because of how, like, in the shadows, and then because the carolers are dressed like kind of Victorian, like, and Batman's always steampunk. So it's not surprising. But yeah, the way that it's drawn is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
I the writing too is just great. I love, like, from the beginning where it's Batman telling Damien to shut the hell up, but not in so
I love
many
that
words.
detail, because he's
Not
like,
in
because they literally go to the scene and Damien says, "Somebody really doesn't like carolers." And then Batman's response is, Damien only say things like that around me. And trying to get to the point to just think them.
Yeah, when you think them, don't say them.
That was
Oh,
great.
boy.
That was great. I had to do a double take. I was like, wait, did Batman really, like, did they really just, like, that was great.
And then the whole um snowman thing was
Zatanna.
I was not sure
Was expecting
who
a
was
Zatanna in
coming.
this.
I
That's for sure.
wasn't. I was expecting. He said an old friend.
I suppose when it comes
No,
to,
it sounded more occult, so I called it an expert. I was thinking, I was excited. I was like, oh my God, are we getting like Constantine?
that's what I would have thought.
I would have thought too, but Zatanna is more colorful. So I
Guess so.
understand why they put
Need,
Zatanna in,
we need more Zatanna.
you know, for
Anyway.
the holiday vibe
Yeah.
a little more than like brooding
Well, also
bah
notice the
humbug.
detail too of her like hat being a little more festive now as well. I didn't even notice
Yes.
that
Yeah,
at
with
first
the
as well.
holly and everything.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's great.
Yes. So and the purples and everything definitely fit more than the drab overcoat of
Yeah,
John Constantine, you
just
know.
imagine him trying to be jolly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would have to be more focused on him as Ebenezer Scrooge, which would then take away from the whole story.
Right.
And yeah. So Zatanna was definitely a good
It was a really
choice.
good pick.
Um, and
I mean, just
she is Zatanna. Like, there's really nothing like except for the more festive hat, I'd say. But
right.
she's spot on her
It's
character.
yeah,
They wrote her the way she's always really written. So,
yeah.
um, you know, well done. Uh, but then obviously the deduction of Man Bat, but it's not Man Bat, and then boom, I was not expecting Santa Claus like that.
I mean, notice to say too, right? This one state coming from like this crossbow, right? We really see Prancer there with
Yeah.
like these orangey glowing eyes too. Like it's just so cool here.
Yes. It's like
Yeah.
he's got the earrings. You see the earrings
Oh
on
yeah.
Prancer's ears and the rings on his antlers. It's just
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's straight up Norse god. It's
Yeah.
something that Thor would be riding, I
Right.
feel like. Um
I also just love the fact here. Anytime when he starts talking to
I
somebody,
knew you were gonna
he
bring this up.
says their like name and then address,
Yes.
and it's
Yep.
it's so great.
I
He like does
love
that
it.
with everybody. Uh,
Everybody. And they're
and
like, wait,
so
what?
they're like, anyway, go on with business. It catches everyone off guard though, which is just
Yes.
hilarious.
It's awesome. I love it. And
And
then the fact that like wait, you knew? Like
right,
not
Santa
maybe
Claus just looks so
the
badass. Like
yeah.
it's great. But yeah, uh,
And Krampus looks badass. That
that
art
Krampus
right
design,
there
yes.
is yeah.
Finally, a good
Uh,
Krampus story.
mhm.
Not that rubbish one we got. I don't know how many years ago, but that rubbish one. Um, but yeah.
Now, what's funny though is in the backstory, he definitely it's what's so in the backstory, he's supposed to be just be portrayed as mischievous,
Hmm.
while and he's actually drawn more that way in the backstory,
Hmm.
while they wanted to transition him into more uh villainous, which they did a great job of when they drew him in the last panel. In the backstory panels,
Oh
he's
yeah,
not
yeah.
as dark, you know, he's just
Oh
he
yeah.
seems a little brighter, he's not as dark, he's not as
Right.
overbearing. He's goofier, I'd say would be a good way to
Right.
put it. And then you go to that final panel and he's menacing, he's
That's
evil,
true. Quite the
it's
comparison.
they did a really good job of transitioning that. Um
It's really interesting. I uh I think it plays more. I'll get to that in second issue, but
yeah.
um, just I think though in general though this backstory is very interesting because we have Santa being like this warrior from I don't remember exactly where, but it's like he's a Norse warrior. This is all tied into
Yeah.
Norse mythology that they're doing here,
Yes.
which is very interesting.
This is the Norse mythology of DC rather than like in Marvel where you've
Yeah,
got the gods and
right.
everything. This is their, I mean, are there other, I don't know of other Norse mythology DC characters really.
I'm sure they've done stuff with Wonder Woman before. I'm like sure they
Mm,
must have. Now exactly how and what way I don't know because I haven't read
yeah.
much Wonder Woman. Um,
So that'll be
However,
something to,
stuff we have seen before, and they kind of give a little bit of a reference, is like we've seen Santa in the DC universe before, and they even give a
yes.
reference to it at some point of being like Santa and Batman working together. So this isn't their first time
Hmm.
together, and they give reference to that, and so that's
Correct.
nice little callback there.
Yeah,
Um,
well, that's what I'm saying is how Dick was like Barbara to Dick was like, you knew, and uh
I don't remember if it was this one or
yeah,
the next one.
I think that was the next one,
No,
actually.
there's one part where it gave a callback that was completely forced in. It might be the next issue.
The one where
Um,
it has the asterisks and it shows where it's from. Yeah, that was the next
okay,
issue.
okay, we'll talk about that next time. Next video.
Yeah,
And so
next video, yeah. So, and I think was it this video
this issue.
where Barbara says to Dick, "You knew?" Yeah, yeah. It's in the full panel part of the backstory thing, and Dick was like, "I thought he was just making up, to talk up Santa Claus and talk up Christmas. I didn't know it was all true."
Yeah, everyone's reaction's great.
Yeah, uh,
It's pretty
but
great.
I'm intrigued by the choice of the plant and the green goo and what it all
It's very
has to do with
interesting.
everything. Um,
That's all I'm very interested in, and they don't really give much about Krampus yet, but
no.
what is great though is like what a menacing way for him to start talking through a dead body though. And
Yeah.
just it does give a nice little terrifying feel and yeah, no, you're right though. Just how much more terrifying he looks is it's pretty fantastic of this sort of like new artistic look for Krampus as well, which is it's a really nice design, I must say.
Yeah, and it's different than any of the Krampuses
Yeah,
I've
well,
seen.
like I'm not sure if it's the best way to uh, what his face reminds me of, as opposed to what you regularly see of Krampus, is like a Japanese sort of demon. Is sort of
Hmm.
like what it gives me the vibes of there, which is really cool.
Yeah. I definitely see what you're saying. It definitely has that more dragon-like face or serpent.
I'll probably say
Is it
serpent.
serpent?
But
Um,
yeah,
yeah, like or the mouth, the teeth are more dragon-like, should I say,
sure,
and
yeah,
serpent-like. Um,
yeah,
like a Chinese dragon, the
yeah,
front of the
yeah,
face. Um, but that's also closer to looking like a serpent as well. Like they're very serpent-like as well. So the Chinese dragons are. So it definitely feels it's interesting that they drew him like that.
yeah.
Um, when it's, I don't know if it was intentional to give it like that Far East mythology tie-in
That's a
feel,
good question.
or if it's just because yeah, Krampus to me is usually like a big furry beast,
Yeah,
with like a Bigfoot looking
and
face
and
and
you still see, other than the face part, he still is that, which is really great.
yes, exactly. Yes, absolutely. Everything about him is Krampus. That
It's
face is just
Krampus.
very, yeah.
We get to see
Krampus
more of him in
is
a bit later on, though.
yes.
But is there anything else over on like this first issue though that you'd like to cover? I feel like we hit it pretty well though.
I think they definitely is a good foundation for
Good
this
foundation.
series.
Yeah. Agreed.
I really
Agreed.
like the backstory of Santa and Krampus. Um, and we've got, the foundation of the Bat family. which is great there. And got a Man Bat reference. Always love a
There
Man
we
Bat
go.
reference.
Exactly.
Um, and yeah. Other than that, we've been playing Gotham Knights, so Montoya even got a call in
Oh
there.
yes, yes, I
You
remember. I
know,
was thinking that. I was like, we seen her recently.
yeah. So that's the
Good,
Montoya
good.
character is
Yeah, for sure.
always a good one in
It
Batman
it just
lore
had
and
a nice
stuff.
cast of characters here, right?
Yes.
Batman, Damian, Santa Claus, Nightwing, Batgirl, Zatanna. What a nice cast of characters they had come in here, and so
Yep.
very nice first issue. I think it was just pretty well, and so I think that just does it. I think for this year, and so
Yes.
but yeah. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time here in the Dingus Den, and check out for part 2. Thank you for watching this video. Before you go, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video. See you next time, here on the Dingus Den.